Hi, my name is Kristen Hallas, and I am a first-year PhD student for the Mathematics and Statistics with Interdisciplinary Applications program here at UTRGV. For the Engaged Scholar and Artist Award, I was working on an interdisciplinary research work related to how STEM identity is formed in our female undergraduate students here at the University of Texas Rio Grande Valley. As far as the motivation for my research project, I really wanted to understand why female STEM majors at University of Texas Rio Grande Valley, why they felt like they didn't belong in their field. And it was motivated primarily as well by my belief too, where I'm doing all of these things, right? Like I'm doing research presentations and I'm doing research at these outside institutions, and I still don't necessarily feel like I belong in my field. I have this sense of imposter syndrome, right? So originally, me and a group of friends, we were thinking, well, how can we investigate this further? Well, maybe we can begin interviewing STEM students here at UTRGV to get an idea of do they feel like they have imposter syndrome? How are they perceiving themselves throughout their STEM study? So really what we wanted to do, the ideal outcome of the study would just be to be able to figure out like, okay, STEM students, they need to be supported in this way. Maybe they are feeling really confident in their abilities on exams, but when it comes to the confidence in their ability to do research, maybe they're lacking. How can we support these students, and how can we help UTRGV grow in its research capacity, especially in STEM? I chose my faculty mentor, Dr. Angela Chapman, because she's absolutely wonderful when it comes to the research that she's doing in the Rio Grande Valley on STEM identity. I couldn't think of someone more perfect to help me out with answering that question. And also someone who's really vested in improving equity across the Rio Grande Valley, especially for our historically marginalized students, Latinas. Oh yeah, absolutely. So being the fact that we are a Hispanic serving institution, right, there's already this kind of lack of confidence of I don't really know and I don't really believe in my ability. There's this kind of low self-efficacy, this low belief in your ability to do research, right? So being able to have this award that you can apply for and just say, hey, like if you have somebody you want to work with and you have a project in mind, you can apply, you can get funding, and you can work on it semester after semester, year after year. And I really enjoy that aspect of like the Community Engagement Award exists as well to better engage the students, you know? So if we have more student leaders, they're gonna feel more empowered when they graduate UTRGV and enter the workforce as well. So as far as the discoveries of my research project in the field of how like STEM identity is formed, I think that it really supports this idea that there's not a one-size-fit-all solution for the formation of STEM identity. There's still a lot of gaps in our understanding, and especially because my project was a lot more focused on qualitative data, right? So we were able to see these influences, such as like family role models that were influencing some of the students that had a stronger sense of identity within their discipline, right? So that was something that you might not necessarily see if you're looking at the literature, if you're looking at, well, how do we have these strong female Latina leaders in STEM? Like, how are they built? So that was one thing that I think was very apparent from the interviews that we had with our participants. And then there was also, there were two other facets. There was this idea of, how do we contribute to these big problems, right? Like we have, when you ask a room of high school students, I was in a high school last week, and my lab director is like, "Are y'all excited for the future?" And they're like, "No." And it's like, well, why? Why is that? Okay, well, we have food, water shortages, we have environmental collapse pending, but we also have amazing technology, right? Like we have so much data and so much resources to tackle these ideas, right? And these are really big ideas that are contributing to the greater good of our nation, right? So one thing that the study, I think, revealed across the board, right? All of our participants were really working towards solving some sort of greater good problem, right? Whether it was like getting us to the moon or just creating better infrastructure on our roads. It was like something was going to benefit society for the greater good, and that was contributing to the students' intrinsic desire to study their field. And there is a tremendous body of research that shows that having a strong intrinsic motivation for your field is going to outweigh all the other motivations. It's like one of the greatest indicators of success. So if we can nurture the intrinsic motivation of our students to study their field, perhaps by motivating them of like solving these bigger problems, well, I think that we're going to have more successful like degree attrition, earning degrees and going to graduate school, because there's going to be this intrinsic motivation that's fueling our students to keep going. So that was one thing. And then I think the other aspect of the study was just the importance of inclusivity, right? Like students that I believe they had like a stronger sense of STEM like identity like within their field, I believe they understood the importance of inclusion, and they sought to find inclusion and create more inclusive spaces. So I think that was really important and kind of lacking in some of the literature related to identity formation within the sciences and engineering fields. That's a great question. So the technical background that I came into applying for the Engaged Scholar and Artist Award, I was a sophomore, right? So I was an undergraduate sophomore. I was not really taking many psychology classes. I had an interest in psychology. I had a very basic level of like mathematic background at that point. I was just like in a proofs class, right? So what I'm trying to get at is that you could apply for this Engaged Scholar and Artist Award like right now. Like if you had an idea for a research project, like apply for this coming semester, because you will be able to fill in the gaps of your knowledge gaps with your advisor, with your mentor on the project, and they're there to help you figure it out. So I would not let any kind of technical background hold you back. It's more so like, do you have the desire to go out and try to answer the question that you're seeking to answer? Because if you have that intrinsic motivation to answer the question, question, well, that's gonna carry you. There's an awesome quote, right, where it's like, if you have your why, it doesn't matter anyhow. Like, you're gonna be able to figure it out through the process. Right. So definitely, and I'm in the season right now where I'm applying to NSF fellowships and everything, right? So they have a bunch of big ideas, right? Like, they want to help make human and technology kind of collaboration better, right? Because instead of this fear of, oh, computers are taking over our jobs, right? No, like, let's have a trained human workforce and let's use technology to make our work-life balance better, right? So the NSF has all of these big ideas, and one of their biggest ideas that is like kind of consistent throughout all of the other ideas is including more ideas within STEM fields, because you can look at the statistics, and even though we have more females who are earning like undergraduate degrees, we do not have that same kind of equity when you look at the number of females that are earning engineering degrees, for instance, right? That's still hovering at like 20%. So you would think that, okay, well, we have, equal representation with females that are earning undergraduate degrees, but there's still a disparity. It's still disparate when you look at engineering, when you look at physics, computer science. So it's really important for maintaining diversity and having a unique set of ideas, right? Because all of the ideas that have got us here so far in life, they're very like Western focused, and they're very kind of white male focused, right? And clearly we still have a lot of problems that we need to solve. So if we can have ideas from more diverse sets, and also it's not just a matter of having like these diverse ideas, like having, okay, so let's have equality, right? And have half women and half men at the table, right? And let's have like total everything that's representative of the population. Like, let's just put it here in an environment for engineering or for computer science. But that's also not enough, because these folks all need to be able to collaborate together and share ideas. Whether you have like a biologist and a computer scientist and an engineer, they all have different cultural backgrounds as well. It's like, if we don't have this kind of climate of acceptance, tolerance, and like this focus on equity and inclusion, if we do not have inclusive leaders, well, then how is everybody who has a seat at the table going to feel like they can share? Right? And then how are we going to actually solve these? So it's not just a matter of bringing these folks in the environment, but it's also figuring out ways to have them be included. So qualitative research is really good to try to answer those questions as to, okay, they're here, how are they doing? How are they feeling? Do they feel like they belong? Do they feel like they can succeed? And if not, how can we change that, right? So that's why I think it's important. You started to see with like the millennial generation and like Gen Z, and there's like trending TikToks, right, about like breaking generational trauma. So I do think that though you might have seen waves of this happening with previous generations, starting with like maybe like Gen X and like even kind of like that the civil rights movement in the 1960s, right? But I feel like for each generation that's come, there's more of a dissatisfaction, and there's more of a like, look, like these systems are still inequitable, and like, what are we gonna do about it? Like, it really, like, somebody has to do something. So I think you would see not only a lot more dissatisfaction, I mean, there's more people, there's more population, and everybody more so has a platform and a voice too because of social media. So I feel like more than ever, people are at least empowered to say, hey, this is not right, raising awareness, right? But I think we're still kind of at this point where we need to have more of a global acceptance from like all folks of like hey, this isn't okay. Hey, you are experiencing trauma. Hey, like what can we do about that? Instead of jumping straight to, okay, this is a problem, we have to take action. No, I think that there's still not a total acceptance that has been realized of there are problems that need to be addressed. So I think acceptance has to come before that action. That is a great question. So I would say that honestly, participating in the Engaged Scholar and Artist Award, like receiving the award, going through the process of presenting my research, applying for the award again. I was also in the UTRGV Honors College as an undergraduate. And it was like all of a sudden I realized, wait, I have this project that I've been working on through the Engaged Scholar and Artist Award. I did not intend to have an undergraduate thesis. So like all of a sudden I realized that it's like, wait, I have a project, I have IRB approval, you know, like my faculty mentor, Dr. Angela Chapman, she helped me through that whole process. And then all of a sudden I'm sitting here and I can conduct a study. And I'm like, well, wait a minute, I wanna write a thesis too. And it was something that that really spoke to me personally, because like I say, I am also a female in a STEM field. I feel like an imposter at times. Like it's uncomfortable to be in a computer science classroom. Like I remember in high school, it's the first time that ever happened to me. I was one of like 20 students. There's 2 females, and then everybody pretty much dropped out except for like 4, including me. And I'm just there and I'm just like, why am I here? You know, this is weird. And my friends think I'm weird for taking this class. And eventually I wouldn't even pursue computer science for another like 8 years or longer. You know, time is relative anyway, right? But I think that participating in this program really helped me gain more confidence in myself and my abilities. It helped me see myself as a researcher, just giving me the opportunities to present my work and to work on a problem that was really meaningful to me. And I had a better idea of my own kind of study trajectory as a result. And it really motivated my interest in continuing my studies with graduate school, but not just to do research, but also to just try to make the space like a better place for everybody. You know, like that's something that still really drives me today. I mean, it's hard to find time, right? Like, you know, there's so much time and stuff going on with graduate school, but this really kind of solidified my why am I doing this? Because, you know, you can help create like a better space for everybody to participate in science. So I would say that, yeah, being a part of the program really motivated me to continue my studies in graduate school and just try to be to have a seat at the table, to be a voice that's saying, hey, we need more equity. Okay, that's a great question. So the day-to-day for the Engaged Scholar and Artist Award, it's very much like you need to have a sense of self-autonomy, right? Like you wake up in the morning, you're going to your classes, you usually have classes like twice a week, right? But for your research project for the Engaged Scholar and Artist Award, it's up to you to set up the meeting with your advisor, right? It's up to you to apply for the institutional review board and do your trainings if you're working with human subjects. You know, it's up to you to schedule the interviews, do the interviews, analyze the data, right? And then if you want to present, well, then you're going to write the proposal. So it's like I had to get really good at setting aside time for myself, and I still do this with my mentor, right? Of like these hourly 2-hour blocks of like writing, of pure focus on my project. Because if I don't set aside that time for myself, I'm a chronic procrastinator, and I'll just keep, I don't have to do it yet. And then all of a sudden, there is a deadline for like a report or a conference, and it's like, what have I done? But if I build in that time in my calendar, then I'm going to be more prepared. And I will also say that though it's intimidating to present at venues, it always really helped me to have something that I was working towards. I'm going to present in February, I'm going to present in April, so I need to make a little bit more progress on my work before doing that, right? But the day-to-day is very much self-driven, and if you have time in your schedule in the morning, then do it in the morning. If you have time at night, do it at night, and just make sure to have that weekly time with your mentor to kind of check in and say, hey, this is what I did, this is what I have questions on, and this is what I want to do next, and have that dialogue, and then you're going to be above and beyond successful, I would think. Yeah, so my advice, like if you are even possibly thinking of applying to the Engaged Scholar and Artist Award, like please apply. Like do yourself a favor, because I did not think I was going to apply. I actually had a friend of mine, she was doing the application, and then I helped her out with it, right? But I was really scared to put my name on something, right? Because you're like, am I good enough for this? Like, yes, you are. And, she had something that happened that she could no longer contribute to the project. And then all of a sudden I have this, and I'm like, okay. I talked to some folks. I'm like, okay, you want to be a part of this, right? Okay, like, come on, like, let's do this project together, right? So I would say that if you have a couple of friends that you're interested in doing this work with, they're going to be your collaborators, right? Like loop them in, because it definitely helped me in the beginning to have other people on my team of like, hey, like I'm not just doing this alone, I'm doing this together. And also like the structure of the Engaged Scholar and Artist Award, if you need additional funding, if you need wages, having a couple of more people on the project, it's going to help you in that respect as well, but it's also going to be more fun. So if you have just like an idea for a project, try to talk to your professors and get to know them. And this is something really cool. So, or earlier in the year, I had a research seminar, right? And it was a new faculty member, and she was talking about some of the work that she did. And then there's another colleague of mine that was attending the talk. And then afterwards, it was like, hey, by the way, like I'm really interested in doing this thing for the community engagement, and they were so down to help. And it's like this connection where it started from literally the two people don't know each other, and then they meet, and it just kind of works like that, so you can, if you don't know who to ask to be your faculty mentor yet, just keep an open mind, keep looking for events at the university, come to the Engaged Scholarship and Learning Office and ask them, hey, do you have anybody who might be able to help me? This is what I'm interested in, right? But just, I would say my biggest piece of advice from all of that is just be your own advocate and tell people in your life what you want, whether it's your friends, whether it's departments here at UTRGV, whether it's your potential new faculty mentor. Just get comfortable talking to people and sharing your ideas, because your voice deserves to be heard. And if you have an idea for a project, chances are it's going to be really good if you can make it come to life, and it's going to make a positive impact on society. So go for it. I just want to say that I think the University of Texas Rio Grande Valley is like incredible. Like everywhere I go, I put my fees up, because it's like, where else do you get these opportunities? Like we have a lot of opportunities that not other schools get, like not a lot of other schools get. And especially like you might think, oh, like I've had people be like, oh, I wish I was going to University of Texas at Austin, right? But over there it's such like a more research focused school that it's not always going to be focused on the student. But here at UTRGV, you have faculty that really care about who you are as a student and like want to see your ideas come to life. So just think about all the opportunities that you get in emails on a daily basis, or you're walking around the Bronx Trail and you see flyers. Like really look at them and really consider them. And I think the Engaged Scholar and Artist Award here at UTRGV is like the crown hidden gem that like I'm just so glad that I was able to discover while I was here, and for my undergrad anyway. And I hope that you can discover it too.